that, and I'm actually going to start recording this one just because I've had so many people that have asked for the reference. So good morning to all of the people that are going ahead and entering in. But yes, you will get a copy of the slide deck moving forward. You will also, and it does say that it's not going to be recorded, but I am recording it right now just because I've had too many people that have asked for that. You can ask your questions in the chat box, or you can come off mute. Most of you know I hate formal presentations, so I would rather ask your questions real time, and it's important to me that we ask that I answer the questions. This is your time with me for the next 2 hours, so I want to make sure that we use this in the best way that we possibly can. And I have the chat box open and I'm watching it real time so that way I can address anything that you have. This is what I consider a beginner level class. So because of that, and I know I have several of you that have been in the business for years and years on here, but this is one of my classes that I ask anybody that has started in the business or that starts working with me to take this course, just because it's a good one to get you set up and start planning for the upcoming year. Most of you don't know how to do that. Or can get better at it. So that's primarily where this is. I am going to start with the foundations initially because I've got a level set. If I don't level set, then what ends up happening is that I'm coming in and it's going to lose some of the people or my beginners that don't understand. So for my more senior guys, just bear with me as I'm going through some of the more remedial stuff, but I've got to lay that foundation so that I know that you've been taught it. The other thing is that I had an agent go ahead and I started teaching this class last year, and I think it was last year. Someone said, okay, well, this is an Amanda show because you're using yourself as an example. And I want to say right now, and put the disclaimer on this, that I am using myself as an example when it comes to development, because I'm not going to call one of you out on your strengths and your weaknesses. That's not fair. And it's not professional, quite frankly. So I'm going to own my strengths and my weaknesses and give you those as the example so that way you have them. And that way I don't have anybody that's feeling uncomfortable. If you go ahead, and I don't believe that you guys can pull these links, but it will be in the links that I go ahead and I send to you in the follow-up so that of my slide deck so that you have it. Tomorrow is learning for 340B pharmacy with Tabitha Justice. So it's at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Love to have you. I know that there's over 250 people that have RSVP'd for that event. So just a heads up on that. So you are good to go on that. Hold on one second. I have a couple people that are having a problem getting logged in, and I'm not quite sure why. So what's also going to happen is that you have med subs, because some of you have asked for fundamental class on how to sell Medicare supplements. That one is on Wednesday at 10 o'clock. And then Life After AEP is my marketing course, which is at 10 o'clock on Thursday. Kristen, are those classes Eastern time? Yes, they are. So and I try to go ahead and do these courses a couple of times. There will be another 340B course on January 5th. Once I go ahead and I get in there, I will be able to go ahead and get you squared away. So not to worry on that. Will you get access to enroll in the classes? So the Medicare supplement sales class and the Life After AEP are on my website. So if you go to MedicareAnswersNow.com and then click under events, under the sales tab, you'll see multiple dates and classes that are there. Pick your flavor as to anything that you want to go ahead and enroll in, and then you're good to go. I have 2 conferences that I am doing this year that I am hosting or facilitating. The first one is Staying Alive in the Senior Market. Guys, this one, it is a free concert, there we go, free conference. And it is going to be held in Cleveland, Ohio at the Hilton Garden Inn in Twinsburg. It is on February 3rd. This one, we've got an awesome lineup. So I have George Dipple, who is the Executive Vice President of DEFT Research. If you are wondering about market trends and how the carriers build their massive multi-million-dollar campaigns and how do they know what things are trending, those are what you want to go ahead and look at. Hold on one second, guys. I've got people saying that there is an issue with trying to get in. So hold on one second. Let me see if I can fix this. I apologize, guys, for the delay. Give me one second. Okay, anybody that's trying to get in, try again and see if we can go ahead and there we go. Now they're coming in. Okay, my apologies to everybody that has gone ahead and that is just getting in now. I had an issue with it, so hold on one second. Let me post something on Facebook so that way everybody knows. There we go. Okay, so I apologize about it. So Staying Alive, with that particular course or with that conference that I am doing, you have George Dipple, who is the Executive Vice President of DEFT Research. They are the one that I am super excited about with the marketing and everything else.
Something to try.
Sorry, I just muted everybody. With so you have him coming. You also have the Aaron McCoy, who is going to do veteran on that class as well, from Humana. You also have Greg LaManna, who is the president of Anthem Medicaid, coming in to talk about Medicaid and Ohio, MyCare Ohio on it. So again, Staying Alive is February 3rd. It will be broadcast via Zoom, and it will also be in person. In person is limited to 200 people. And yes, I will be wearing my sparkly glitter sequin pants that I bought this weekend. So yes, I did get those. And hopefully some of you guys are laughing with that one. So that's the first conference that I have. It is open to everybody, both male and female. So I'm hoping that I have a good roundabout with that. We will also be doing a debrief regarding AEP. And then I have Justin Lubenow also coming to go ahead and attend that as well. So the other conference, which most of my ladies already know this. So hold on a minute. Let me, my IMs. again. There we go. Okay, so I think I got everybody that was having technical issues. So Ms. Medicare this year is going to be 2 days instead of one, much bigger. We are planning to have 500 people that are in there. For the registration for Staying Alive and for Ms. Medicare, go to MedicareAnswersNow.com and then click on Ms. Medicare has its own liner on the top, and then Staying Alive is under the events tab. So by all means, would love to see you all. It will be a true me event. And for those of you that don't know what that means, I throw one hell of a party and one hell of a conference. And Mel's like, you got that right. So yes. We have a lot of fun. Medicare is boring enough, so I might as well go ahead and put some energy and some flair into it. So that's what we've got going on. So today we're going to blow through a bunch of different things here. Again, for those of you that are new, grab some paper and a pen. We're going to go pretty quick on this. I do have you until noon. I try to stay on point so that way I have you out by noon. We will go the full time today, guys. For those of you who do not know me, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Amanda Bruton. I am the owner of Medicare Answers Now, I'm totally excited. We are an FMO based out of Cleveland, Ohio. My business partners are TLC and Jack Schroeder and Associates. Those are my two top lines when it comes to contracts and things like that, but I do own my own agency entirely. We are now in 41 states. Last year at this time, I was in 17. So I've had a little bit of growth over the last 12 months, which is fantastic. I am now a team of 6. So we now have, where last year it was just Jen and I, we are definitely growing, which is awesome. We specialize in the Medicare space. It's where my background is, and I absolutely love it. For those of you that don't know, I was a carrier rep with Aetna, and then I was with Anthem, and then I got sick and went out on my own, which is how I have my agency that you see. I even, on the next page, I have pictures of my outside office. My philosophy is education. So I offer curriculum throughout the year, specific in the Medicare space, as well as sales and marketing training. All of it is free. Anybody can attend it. And as you find niches of things that you want to learn more about, do not hold your tongue. I want to hear all of that just so that way I can help build and get you guys better. That is my motive. There is nothing else other than that, is that there's nothing better to me than having somebody go ahead and go, Amanda, oh my God, we did this. And watching somebody who's unsure of themselves come back and knock it out of the park and go, damn it, I did this. This is awesome. So that is my motivator. Please know that. I don't have any other one other than that. I do have all the same tools and bells and whistles that everybody else has as an FMO. So I have the online quoting, I've got marketing, I've got an exclusive Facebook group that is to my downline, in addition to the Facebook groups that I manage or own myself, which is Ms. Medicare, the ladies, the insurance ladies group. I have Medicare Marketing and Motivation, which is mine. So there's a little bit of everything. And I will have an events calendar on my website soon. So just as a heads up, this is a quick flash of all of the products that I have, just so that way you have them. Basically, it's all things Medicare and anything that would tie to the senior market. So heads up, here is my contact information for those of you that need it. And I did put a picture of my building so that you can see that, yes, I do have a full brick and mortar. Those of you that were at Ms. Medicare this past year, many of you got to come and visit my office, which I'm so excited about. But I have a 3,700 square foot office here in Cleveland on Insurance Row, and it's got a meeting room and everything else. So just so that way, email and text message are the fastest way to get a hold of me. The new numbers that you see there are actually to my mainline office. Many of you still have my cell, which is the 644 number. And there is my website, so that way you have it. So let's go into this material and get started. Business plans. Why do you need one? One of the biggest things that I see with new agents is that they jump in, they get into the business, and they have no idea of what the hell they're doing. Candidly, they've got no idea of what the hell they're doing. They have no direction. They get a license. Somebody told them, hey, you can go ahead and make lots of money doing insurance. Go get your license, and then drop the ball. There was no, okay, well, what do you do next? So that's part of how this course came to be. When you work for someone else, you are following their initiatives, their plans, their vision, and what they're looking at going ahead and making happen. Your job is to execute it, quite frankly. When you work for yourself, you got to figure all of that out for yourself. What do you want to be when you grow up? What is it that you're trying to get to? And it's not a contest. So some of you, that's you know what, I got to get out of the house so that way my wife doesn't kill me, because it's going to make, it makes her crazy that I'm in her face all the time. I have others of you that are like, I need to provide for my kids and my home, and I have dreams that I need to achieve, and that's your goal. Whatever that is, write it down. Figure out what it is that you're looking to move for. And for those of you that don't know, my next goal, or my stretch goal, that is like the most outlandish thing that I could ever think of that I want, is I want a house in Tuscany. That is my goal. Eventually, I want to work so that way I can travel and Mel's like, oh my God, you're insane. But yes, we know this, but what I want is I want to be able to go ahead and travel whenever I want. And I want a house in Tuscany, and yes, you all can visit, but that's really where my goal is. So as I get to do this, and it'll come along the way as I'm helping you guys all grow, but that's where my dream is, right? So when you are working for yourself, and for those of you that have never heard me talk before, I'm not reading these slides. So the content is going to come, you'll stare at the screen, read the information and the questions as I go, but I'm going to fill in with this. I don't read slides, guys. So when you're doing this, you've got to figure out what your goals, what's your timeline, how the hell are you going to get there? And you've got to have a plan in doing that. In addition to that, you've got to figure out how to track yourself when it comes to professional development. So one of the things that most people forget about when you don't go ahead and work for someone else is I don't care what kind of a job that you've ever had. If you've been in fast food, whether you've been in retail, whether you've been in corporate America, you have actually sat down and had a review. At the end of the year, or at the end of 90 days, you have sat down with your manager and they have done a formal review about you. What went well, what didn't, where you want to be when you grow up, that whole 9 yards. Where are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, all of that. You as a business owner have got to go ahead and set time aside to do your own review. And you need to go ahead and have it where it's completely thorough. And I'm going to show you how that happens and what you need to do. So to give you an example, again, as I said, I have a staff right now of 6. So that means that every one of them have their own professional development track. Every one of them have their own goals and initiatives that I need to work on with them. And when you have a staff, you need to understand that you have to do that. In addition, I do this with everybody in my downline as well. So we work together to identify what makes sense as to how do I help get you to that next level, right? So when we go ahead and we look at this, you want to go ahead and identify key things. And many of you heard me say in July, keep a separate notebook. keep it by your desk, keep it there so that way when you are going ahead and you are doing, as you're going through the motions, write down what's working, write down what's not, because you won't remember what happened in July now. You want to be able to keep that stuff. And I have, here's one, here's two. I keep multiple notebooks at my desk for just this very reason. Each one has different content in it as to where I need my focus to be, so that when I come back at this at a later date, it makes sense, right? So you want to go ahead and look at that. The other thing is that you want to figure out who can help you with going ahead and developing your plans and help you get to reach your goal. What does that look like? So that's your upline. That's a mentor. It's your colleagues. You want to have people that aren't afraid to tell you the hard things, like, Mandy, you're talking too fast, or you talk too much with your hands, or you're talking over me. Whatever it is, you need to have people that'll say, well, you know what? Your time management really sucks here, Mel. You need to fix it. Those types of things you want to be able to have you want people in your corner that will be able to have those questions, and not just the ones that are going to bring the pom-poms out and go, ooh, yay, for something that you did. If you miss the mark, they need to be able to tell you if they and help you correct it. They also need to celebrate the wins with you as well. So you need to, and especially when you are designing your next steps for the next year, identify who your key people are that you want to work with. Who's going to help you get to where you are? And that can be anybody. It can be your husband or your wife. It can be your best friend who happens to be in the business. It can be your work wife or your work husband. God knows I have a couple of them. You want, and yes, I it's me. So it can be industry leaders. I have a group of well-known industries leaders that I go to help me get better with what I do. I also ask all of you, what did you like? What didn't you like? What can I do better? And I'm always constantly looking at growing. You want to go ahead and get that feedback. The more feedback that you have, the better, right? So those are the things that you want to go ahead and take a look at. So to go ahead and start, I've got a lot of new kids on this call. What the hell is an upline? What am I talking about when I'm referring to that? An upline is someone that goes ahead and helps you build your business that is basically paid by the carriers. You have bunches of different ways that you can get contracted. And I want to make sure that you all understand this, because when you are starting to build your business plan, you need to pick your business partners. Well, you need to understand the rules of engagement with this. I know Joanna did a couple of posts on this. I know I post on this multiple times a month, just so that you have the education in the background. When someone is referred to as captive, captive means that in the carrier sense, that means that you have gone ahead and you have worked with, or the carriers come to you to say, hey, if you go ahead and you sell and you become captive to our products, we will load you with leads. We'll help you with marketing. We're going to give you other things. But oh, by the way, you have a contract that you're going to need to sign, and you can't represent anything other than what we allow you to. So for example, United has a captive force, UHC. So several of the other major carriers do. That is an example of that. They are independent agents, but they are captive to that carrier. So that's one way of doing that. The other one that you have is going direct. And you hear a lot about this in other lines of business. But going direct means that there's no middleman between you and the carrier. That means that it is your responsibility to do the training. Any kind of service issue that you have, it's on you to do. Any kind of issue with your commissions, that's on you to do. There is no one in the middle between you and the carrier with your contract to help you move forward. It also means that your paychecks are coming from the carrier as well. Next one, If you go ahead and you look at Uplines, so we've got a couple of different ways that you can be contracted with the upline. You have captive, again, and you have independent. Captive, otherwise known as LOA or licensed only agent. Basically, they're the ones that are going to say to you, hey, come on, come with us, come contract. We're going to give you 170% of commissions for life insurance. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to give you free leads, and we're going to give you benefits, and we're going to give you the ability to market under our name. Like Health Markets is a captive organization, very large, very good, but that's what they are. There's several of them out there. Rule of thumb is they are paying you. The agency is paying you. And when the agency is paying you, rule of thumb, when the agency pays you that you are contracted through, you are LOA and they own the business. Unless you are vested, they own the business if they are the ones that are paying you. The other way that you want to go ahead and be contracted is independent. Independent means that the carriers are paying you. You have a dotted line to the upline, whoever that may be, so that way what ends up happening is that the carrier knows, hey, she's spending all of this time getting this person trained and up and running, and we are going to pay her what's referred to as an override. So me being the example, I am an FMO. This is what I am an upline. So what I do is the carriers have all gone to me and said, hey, we will pay you to train and get these people up and running. For everybody that has a dotted line to you, we're going to pay you so that way we know that this is what you're doing. The agent gets paid full commission by the carrier. They own their business. Everything is good to go. But I also get paid by the carrier for all the time and the effort and everything that I'm doing. Okay. That's primarily where that is. When you are independent, you eat when you sell something. That's when you get paid, not before. You also own your entire business. So you have full control over what you can and cannot do. Make sense? So if we move a little bit forward, what the hell is the alphabet soup? GA, SGA, FMO, IMO, NMO. I hear all of these people going ahead and using these acronyms. Man, I don't know what the hell they mean. And this makes no sense to me. And why is it that everybody calls themselves an FMO? You hear all of these people that are saying that they're an FMO. Are they really? What does this mean? So I taught this in Ms. Medicare, and yes, some of this is repetitive, but again, I've got a lot of new kids on here. A GA. A GA is a smaller local agency. So if you're looking for somebody that's going to be able to run side-by-sides with you out in the field and go to Sally Smith's home, a GA is where you want to be. That is a local agency that'll go ahead and help you do that. Typically, you need about 5 agents before you get the agency starts getting an override for the help that they do with you with doing those that day-to-day learning. The next increase from there is an MGA or Managing General Agency. This is a little bit bigger. So this one, typically they've got a breadth of multiple states. They usually have a couple hundred agents underneath them. They can have agencies underneath them or GAs underneath them that are helping them with the training and everything else. Their training is going to be different. They'll also have marketing help that they can offer to you. Some carriers have MGA contracts that are offered, not just FMOs. So I know Anthem is in this space in that they offer a smaller level contract direct to some of their MGAs. And then they also have the larger contract that is an FMO level that is offered as well. So what is an FMO? So an FMO is an FMO, NMO, IMO, they all stand for the same thing. Basically what it is field marketing organization, national marketing organization, or insurance marketing organization. They all mean the same damn thing, guys. FMO contracts are cut on the carrier level. So you can have an FMO contract with one carrier and be MGA with another one. Most FMOs do not have top line contracts across every single carrier that is out there. The reason why is because there are only a handful of these top line contracts that are offered in the entire country. So for example, the latest one that came out, Kaiser. Kaiser has 2 FMOs that have the top line contract. That is Health Markets and National something or other. I believe that's it. So those 2 contracts, those 2 companies are the only 2 companies that have the very, very top line contract. All of the other agencies that are in the air, GS National, thanks, Raleigh. I knew there was a national in there somewhere. So all of the other agencies have to go to Health Markets or to GS National and say, hey, we want to offer this too to our people. Can we come underneath you as that MGA or that lower level? And then that way they're there. Kathy, Health Markets was an agency, not an FMO. No, they are a field marketing organization. They are one of the largest ones in the nation. They are ginormous. They used to be called InSphere several years ago, back in the day. But yes, they are very big. So the FMO contract is the top line. You will hear a lot of people go ahead and say, well, my FMO doesn't do anything. They shouldn't be getting paid for what they do. They don't help me from a day-to-day. It's not their job to help you with the day-to-day. That is the MGA or the GA that is underneath them. The FMO's primary responsibility or things that they help you with are the big ticket things, like those quoting engines that you see everybody talking about, that they can put it kind of works like Medicare.gov and the plan finder, only now it's specific to you so that all of your writing numbers are in there. And it is text capability with, it has text capability with the applications and the quotes, all of that type of stuff. Those systems cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, guys. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. That is what your FMO is there for. Your FMO is there to go ahead and, for example, ours has a deal with Vistaprint. So we have a whole slew of marketing stuff that's available. And we have our own Vistaprint portal so that way it's there. You have similar things with the integrity companies. The integrity companies integrity is a financer, right? What ends up happening is that there are FMOs that are underneath all of those different, under the umbrella of integrity, but they all have Medicare Resource Center. They all have some kind of flavor of that is either a Connexure system or a Sunfire system, or both. They usually have access to CSG, which is a quoting mechanism for med substance, things like that. So those are what they're bringing to the table. They're also bringing to the table the contests and the trips and everything else. Questions. So you can work with Health Markets and not be LOA. I believe Health Markets has a vesting schedule with their agents. You start out LOA, and then once you hit X number of years, then you own your business entirely. Are you able to bring yourself under an FMO? Yes, because depending on the FMO that you choose to work with, usually you're independent, so you have the ability of doing that. But if you're with the multiple FMOs, you still need to work with Medicare.gov and actual carrier, meaning it's silly for me to use a system for 2 carriers. Amanda, not really so, because many of the systems will allow you to go ahead and click a button to add non-licensed plans, and you have the full functionality of Medicare.gov right there without having to take the extra steps. With the carriers, yes, you'll need to go ahead and do that to capture the HRA or health risk assessments if you want, or you want to double check, but you do have the ability with most of these systems to run a full list of different things that are out there. Okay, so moving right along. Couple of things, and Amanda went right where I wanted her to go, which is you own your business. Guys, hear me with this. You own your business, not your FMO. You have the choice of what you want to do. If you don't like who you're partnering with, talk to them, see about fixing it. If you are looking to add new partners, have conversation, interview. For the love of God, interview your uplines and see what's out there before you make an educated choice about what's there. But ultimately, you have the control as to how you want to run your business and who you want to partner with. Now, there's a cause and effect with that, right? Depending on if you're LOA or not, but you get to choose. You will have uplines that will, of course, they're going to say, put everything with me. It makes it easier, put everything with me. You, though, have the choice to say, yes, I want to do that, or no, I don't. The other thing, individual is separate than Medicare contracts. Group contracts are separate from Medicare contracts. So you can have one upline that is doing your group and your ACA business and another one that is doing your Medicare. Those are two totally different sets of contracting, okay? The other thing is that I need you to be aware that most carriers do not, life insurance, Sasha brought up a good point. Life insurance is a separate upline or a separate contract on most carriers also. So just a set of, you have that option. Lori, firm believer of not putting all your eggs in one basket. You know what? You have a lot of different people. You have two different school of thoughts with this. And yes, both are valid. Some people are like, I want it all in one place so that way I know who to hold accountable and I can get the biggest bang for my buck when it comes to marketing and everything else because they see everything that I can do. And then you have other people that are in the school of thought of, you know what, spread it out so that way you with between 2 or 3 FMOs so that way you don't have all your eggs in one basket. You have to choose what is best for you when it comes to this, okay? So fourth quarter, most carriers as well as uplines will not allow hierarchy changes in the fourth quarter, which means game on come January 3rd. This is when you will have the ability of starting to make the changes if you need to make the changes when it comes to that. And that's why we're having this conversation now, is these are things that you want to think about when you are assessing, did you get the support and the help that you need or no? And if not, how do you get to what you need? So Sasha wants to know, what are the pros and cons of having them spread out versus having them all in one? So here's my advice with that. When you have them all in one, if you have one person to go to or one agent, one upline to go to say, hey, you know what? I'm not getting commissions on 2 of my carriers. Fix this. You have it where you can go, you have a customer service issue. Your default is go to that one upline and say, hey, you know what? I have issues on OTC cards or essentials extras process, getting my clients set up with this. You have one-stop shop to be able to do that. The other side of it is that you have it where agents have the ability of going ahead and saying, hey, you know what? I want to build a marketing plan for lock-in. And I want to do outreach. Will you partner with me? I think I need a couple $1,000s to make this happen. Is this an option? Well, if someone has all of their contracts with one upline, the upline knows full well and can see all of what you're doing or what your historical sales have been so that they have the ability of saying, yeah, you know what? I'll help you with that. Another one is when you go ahead and you have it where it's spread out. So another example with this, you may have it where you like how I teach. but you may need some help with the social media piece, and you want to go with somebody that is really good and known with the social media. So you want to look at Gordon Marketing. You want to look at Brock. You want to look at a couple of these other uplines. So you choose to put some of your contracts with me, some of your contracts with them. Well, I can only service the ones that are with me. I can't service anything that you have with somebody else. I can't help you. My hands are tied, which means I'm going to have to say, go to them to get the help. The other side of it is that when you've got both, you've got two quote unquote expert teams that you're working with to help benefit you. The other side of it is when you go to get co-op money, what ends up happening is that when you're asking for that money, they can only go based off of what you have actually put up in their carriers. So you can tell me that you put up 200 applications, but I'm only seeing that you have 50 up, and I have to take your word for the other 150 that you gave to another upline. Odds are what I'm going to commit to you with money is going to be much less than if I could see the whole enchilada. I will give you an example. This was one of my learning lessons for this AEP. I had a couple of agents who have their stuff split. What ended up happening is that when that happened, they came to me, asked for some marketing money, said, okay, well, I think I can do 50 applications. Will you go ahead and go in on this? I committed to the funding, and the carriers were split. The way that the carriers were split at the end of the day, I paid for them to go ahead and put the money with the other upline. And I know that. That will be my lessons learned for this upcoming year. But those are the things that you want to go ahead and look at with all of that, right? So when we go ahead, and I've got some comments in here. Okay, so if I work with an FMO as an independent agency, they don't own your business. Gia, that is correct. You own it. They do not, unless you are getting paid by the agency. So Catrice, so you could be with Gordon Marketing and me. Yes, that answer is correct. You can split between two FMOs. That's not a problem. Lori's working with Christian Brindle. Yes, he's good at what he does. So, there's a number of them that are out there. You have to pick your flavor of what works with you. And again, this is what you want to go ahead and when you are interviewing uplines, it is imperative that you do. So that way you have an idea of what everybody offers, and ask them, what do you bring to the table? Me, it's the coaching and the business and the training. That is what I am known for. But pick your flavor as to what's there, right? Okay, next question, Elena. Getting paid by someone like Ritter, does that mean that they own their business? It depends on what the contract is. So for example, like Lasso, Craig Ritter owns the company. So they are going to pay all the commissions through Ritter for Lasso. You own your business, but that carrier just happens to be owned by Craig. So it's going to depend on the carrier, but the rule of thumb that I am giving you guys is the baseline. So yes, I know for a fact that I've got at least 3 people in here that are going to go, but Amanda, I have the exception to the rule. I'm sure you do. But for my beginners, this is going to give you a higher level of things that you need to look at, right? Most of you know that I have published multiple times on the Facebook chats or Facebook groups, as well as on my personal website and everywhere else, examples of how to interview an upline. It's usually in the guides. It is, if you go under the FAQ in my, on my website under insurance agents, you'll see an example and my answers in writing as to how we do business. So just where the food for thought. Okay, so Vicky, you referred to yourself as an FMO. At what point does an MGA move to an FMO status? When I hold an FMO contract. And I don't mean that to sound flippant, but I hold FMO contracts or top line contracts for a couple of carriers. So because of that, that's what goes ahead, and that's why I can call myself one. I am one. Doreen wants the website, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in here so that way you have it. It's right there. So pictures for Ms. Medicare. Mel, there you are right there. So heads up on that. So moving right along, top line contract means equals direct to carrier contract. Top line means that, yes, on some they have a top line to there isn't anybody in between the override contract that they have between the carrier and them. Sonia, always read your contract to make sure that it states that you're agent of record on your clients. That is correct. You definitely want to do that. So just other things to go ahead and be aware of. So moving right along on this. Going into the business plan stuff, you got to write your goals down, guys. And I'm working on some tools to be able to help you with this and some templates. I don't have them fully built yet because I don't like them yet. But once I do, I will give them. Odds are they will be ready by staying alive. And that will be what you guys, one of the things that you guys get as part of the swag at that event. You want to work towards each week towards your goals that you have. I'm going to stop real quick. Some FMOs offer to help you with having your website. Is that a smart to go with them if you want to remain in control of your business, or should you do it on your own? Elena, sit tight on this question. You're a little bit further in my slide deck, so give me a second, honey, and I'll answer that. So when you're going ahead and you want to work towards your goals every week, I am a firm believer in Franklin Covey business planning and time management. For those of you who do not know what that is, Franklin Covey came out in the 90s and it was a thing. They had planners, they've got electronic tools. A lot of you have asked me how I run my business when I've got 90,000 things that are on my plate at any given point in time. How do I manage it all? The answer is Franklin Covey. I took this seminar when I was 19 working for Nestle, and it was the single best seminar I ever took and workshop I ever took because it taught me how to do the time management skills. Highly recommend Franklin Covey. It's what I do now, except I don't use the planner. I now have it memorized, so I use my Microsoft Outlook to go ahead and do that. Ginny, it's on the screen. Franklin Covey, time management, that's what you want. So if we go ahead and just for sake of time real quick, I will show you. If I come in here, I'm going to put this into the chat box once it finishes loading. This is what I'm talking about, guys. When you're looking for planners and tools, yes, that website is god awful, but this is what you want to use. And what it does is it focuses on a core philosophy of short-term, mid-range, and long-term goals, and how do you move the dial on all of those every week. And little action items each day get you to the end result so that you're able to make that happen. How do you think I planned a conference in 120 days last year for women in 44 states? Franklin Covey, time management all day long. I am a big fan of it. So take a look at it. If you need a development book to go ahead and also read, if you have not read the classic 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, read it. Between these two, super huge, so that way that you've got some option. There's an FMO that wants me to go with him. He's saying that if I contract with him as the agency, he will give me an override. I've never heard of this before. Fishy. Typically with overrides, if someone is offering you overrides, first thing that you guys need to know, so I am going to go back on this for a second. When you move your contracts from one upline to another, contractually, that contract has to go the same exact way from one hierarchy to the other. It cannot move up. The reason why is for this exact reason. People fishing and saying, hey, I'll offer you more money. The problem is that usually that more money goes ahead and isn't allowed to happen for 90 to 60 days after you move your hierarchy. So please know that. Now they may be going ahead and paying you that override under the table, but now you've got some other issues because, oh, by the way, the carriers audit what the uplines are doing. They have a full compliance department that at any given point in time can say, Amanda, who's underneath you and what are you paying them? How are you marketing with them and what's going on? I run the risk of losing my contracts for non-compliant just as easily as anyone else can. So you really want to be aware of that and be cautious of how that's going when you're doing it. Other things to go ahead and that we've got going on. I had a Franklin Kit planner in high school and college, huge difference. My struggle is technology. I don't want to have to worry about carrying my planner every day. Kate, what I do is I use Microsoft Office. So if I come in here and I show you that real quick. If we look at, and yes, you can be horrified at my schedule, but you can see that it is color coded to the nth degree. All of those codes have a different meaning to them. So of course, as you can see, everything that is in green is personal stuff. Anywhere where I'm teaching, if it's a sales-based class, it's orange. If it is a red-based class, it's a CE. I have all of these, and then everything that is blue are business appointments. So this is how I run, and it works really well for me. I have the app as well as the on my phone, as well as the one on my desktop or on my laptop. It just works better. It's a cleaner finish when we're going ahead and we're doing that. So let's see. Yeah, holy guacamole, Melanie. Yep, I'm crazy. Monica, what is an override? An override is the money that the carrier pays an agency or someone to help you move the dial for their products. So for example, Anthem. I go ahead and I make an override with everybody that I have 120 agents that sell rep Anthem. So it's my job to get them trained on all of the tools, all the products that Anthem has. And for that time and effort that I spend on that, for everything that they sell, the carrier pays me money for that. They still make their chunk of change. I make a separate chunk, but that's what an override is. If you work under an upline and you are a GA or an MGA, then the upline can go ahead and pay you monies for that as well. Katie, yes, we're twins. Absolutely love it. So what I do is I keep those core goals of my long range, short range, and mid range goals. And then in my head, I have that as I move forward. I've just been doing this for 25 plus years now, so I don't need the relier on it, but that helps me with going ahead and moving forward. How much is an override? Overrides are different depending on what your production is for the agents that work underneath you, where you're going ahead and selling, and the carrier that you're working with. They are all different. It is not set in stone. Going back to contracting, how do you contract as a general agent rather than an individual? Sit tight, Chandra. I am not there yet. You're way ahead of me, so give me a minute. So this is how you do this is how you go ahead and you do the Franklin Covey moving the dial. Keisha, I am, for those that are late coming in, I am actually recording this. Normally I don't. I will post it. It will be on Facebook. It will be on YouTube once I get done with it. So just as a heads up on that. And then I will probably offer this again into first quarter at some point after staying alive. Okay, so this screen. What kinds of questions do you ask? What kinds of things when you're doing your review should you be asking? I added this slide to my initial slide deck because these questions are awesome. And my ladies, you see that question right there about how did you engage in self-care? I am the first person that will attest. I got to get better at that. So do you. So we need to go ahead and look at all of these things. You need to assess how you're going ahead and you set yourself some goals. Did you hit them? Did you not? What's going on there? You want to be able to answer these. What was your greatest accomplishment? I had some pretty good highlights this year. My highlights are that I went from 80 agents last AEP to 250 this year. I went from 17 states to 47 states. My production went from 987 apps last year to this year. I'm probably going to finish well over the 1,500 mark, and that is just MedSup, MedAdvantage, and MedSup, MedAdvantage. That does not include everything else in it. So those are my accomplishments. The other ones, I launched some kick-ass conferences this year and went ahead and did some really fun things. These are things that I achieved. How did I engage in my self-care? I do a timeout every weekend. There is one weekend day that is non-negotiable. I don't move out of my bed. I cuddle with my dogs and I don't move. Everything is on a solid halt for that day. It helps my sanity because we all know I'm crazy. It goes ahead and it helps me physically. And I make sure that I'm moving forward with that. It is super huge. What disappointed me this year? I lost some money. I lost some money in a couple of ways. One was that everybody kept saying, you should offer free leads. You should offer free leads. You should do this. So I did it. You want to know how bad it bit me? About 25 grand. And you want to know why it went ahead and it bit me? Because I offered those leads to agents and they didn't run them. I'm too busy. I don't feel like it. Yeah, you helped me with my start and I wanted to get in this business and you gave me 50 leads to go ahead and do, but I don't feel like calling them, so I'm not gonna. And some of you are horrified with that. I can tell you that happened multiple times. That's a lessons learned. I won't go ahead and do anything like that again without it going ahead and having it where the agent that I'm working with has skin in the game. Will not happen. That was a pretty harsh lesson for me to learn. And why am I telling you this? Because if I don't give you the visibility and the clarity so that you can see that I am not all that and a bag of chips, well, I am, but when it comes to making mistakes, I make them. I struggle. I have hard issues just like all of you where you're going, God, am I the only one that's having this? No, damn it, I have it too. I cry just like all of you. I have my hurdles. I am scared 90% of the time as to whether or not I'm doing the right thing and I have you guys going down the right way. But then I step back, I get in my own mode and I sit there and I go, damn it, you know what? This is a walk in the park. This is what I do. I have 17 years of experience doing this. Yes, I'm down a new road and I'm trying new things and it's the only way to get better. But you want to know what? I got this and I can do this. And I am sharing this all with you so that you understand that you have this as well. Some of you who have gone ahead and said, okay, but I really don't understand. Why are you doing this? Why? And the answer is I achieved my career goals 3 years ago. If you know my story, you know that. When I achieved those goals that I never thought in a million years were possible, that's when it became okay for me to bounce back and go, you know what? Now it's fun. Chris Westfall's the same way. He's loud and obnoxious and I love him to death, but he is the same way in that it's, I got this. Now this is more of a game. And it's not a game in that I'm taking and being frivolous with the ideas and the things that we're doing, but it's a game to me to go ahead and see how fast can I go ahead and I get you where you hit your goals. How fast is it that I can go ahead and get it to where you come back at me and go, oh my God, this actually worked. You're insane for having me do this, but it worked. I didn't know I could do this. That light that someone has in their face when they sit in front of me or they hug me when they see me at a conference and say, thank you for this, because me and my family and the people that we have helped you have had a drastic impact on us. And that is what motivates me. So understand that, yes, I had my hiccups with things just like you all do, but I have some really kick-ass successes. And those are things that you want to go ahead and do. Other questions. What did you spend too much time or energy on? Oh, there were a few of those this past year. What did I avoid? Candidly, the drama. There was some social media drama, as y'all saw, and I avoided it like the plague. I'm not in it. I'm not on it. This is my thing. You either like it, jump on the bandwagon or not. There's no hate. I don't care. But this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to go down this path. Support it. I'll support you as well. But I'm not doing the drama crap. I am well aware that there are a lot of people bad mouthing me right now, and I really don't care. They'll tell you, oh, well, she doesn't have a book of business, so don't sell with her. I will tell you flat out, I don't have a personal block of business, but you ask any one of the agents that worked with me, I ran 8 to 10 appointments deep every single day this AEP, helping the agents put that business in their books. They got the credit for it. I didn't. I just made sure that they were compliant with what they did. Don't tell me I don't know how to run a multi-million-dollar business. I do. So that's my answers to the haters. And some of you are looking at it going, oh my God, yes, ma'am. So when we go ahead and yes, Sonia, that's the whole point where she said, I appreciate how professional you are. I watch how leaders behave online. And this is something my mom taught me a long time ago. You want to lead, you set the tone. You are the example and everybody is watching you. And because of that, yes, do I want to cry? Do I want to lash out? Do I want to celebrate? Do I want to do a happy dance? Do I want to run the gamut? Oh yeah. But you best believe there in any time that I don't lose sight of the fact that everybody's watching. And if I want you to lead, if I want to lead you by example, and I want you to do right by your client, and I want you to have a successful business and emulate some of the things that I know work, I have to be willing to share that information with you, which is where we're at, right? Why would I want someone in my upline that actually competes with me? The school of thought with the other ones is that, well, if they don't know what if they don't know how to actually write the piece of business, how can they go ahead and teach you how to do it? That is the comment, Kathy, that is made a lot. So it just depends. Jade, love the answer, and I cannot wait for us to catch up. So good to see you, honey, because God knows we've been, Jade and I've known each other for, God, well over a decade now. Holy shit, am I old? But anyways, so, okay, I got to catch up. There's lots of stuff in here. Thanks, guys. So, okay, so other things that you want to do. If you see the bottom, the second one up from the top, who are your major supporters this year? Identify who those are. Celebrate with them. And let them know that they had an effect on you. That's one of the biggest things that I see is that people don't go ahead and acknowledge who helped them along the way. And it is totally something that is intoxicating when you have somebody that says that to you. So tell them that. If they affected you, good, bad, tell them so that way they can get better and they can continue down the line of what they're doing. What's the new skill that you learned this year? Oh God, I learned a bunch of them. I learned to use project management software. I learned how to Do video. I've never done videos before or TikToks or any of that other fun stuff. And I tried a couple times this past year. I suck at it, full on suck at it, but I'm going to get better at it in 2022. But those are things that you want to go ahead and, acknowledge. What did you try? What did you learn? If you have a downline or if you have employees, these are questions that for the love of God and all things holy, please make sure that you ask these people, even if they are your contractors. Ask the questions. Do you have an issue giving me feedback? And if so, how do I get better? How do I make it to where you're comfortable with going ahead and talking to me? I will tell you with my staff, and Jen can attest to this, the number one thing and so can Gina, so can Kim, for those of you that go way back in the day, I am only as successful as the team that is around me. And the only way that this team functions is through communication, the good, the bad, the ugly, the tears, the whole 9 yards. Nothing offends me. Just tell me. If I cannot deal with it, if I don't know, I can't deal with it. And I have to be able to deal with it to be able to move it, which means check your damn ego at the door with your employees. Yes, I know a hell of a lot more than all of them, and I can run circles around them. But if you think for 1 second that I go ahead and I put it in their face like that, no. You want to build an environment where they feel that they have a hand in the success. They feel like they are heard. The biggest thing with employees is you have to allow them to feel heard. And then you want to recognize them. You also want to ask them, what are the 2 or 3 things that I can do better? I can tell you first out, all of them know, don't talk to me before I have my first cup of coffee. Good morning. So those are things that you want to go ahead and know. What are the things that are most helpful and that that are working and that aren't? I can tell you with my crew, I manage by task. I don't clock them. I know I don't care whether they show up 15 minutes late or they show up 3 hours late. They have a to-do list and I manage by how long it takes for that task to be done. I don't give a damn if they're here. I don't care if they're at home because they've got a sick kid. But if they can go ahead and they can manage to that task, it makes things a hell of a lot better. And I also step out of those things so that way, what ends up happening is that person feels empowered and they know that I believe in the job that they are doing. When you have a staff, you have got to be able to empower your crew. And don't hire to hire. Hire somebody that fits. You hire for the weaknesses that you have. So Jen and I joke around all the time. Jen is my good cop to my bad cop. I am the mommy and the enforcer. She is the one that'll come in and go, come here, I'll make it all better. And those of you that have seen us in action know that that's how that goes. When you put together a good team, that is how you do it. Fit to your weaknesses or for the stuff that you can't stand doing. Okay. So moving right along. Marketing, this is a whole other discussion when it comes to how to go ahead and this is a whole full 2-hour course. This is my Life After AEP course that I'm teaching on Thursday. But building a marketing plan is not going and spending $5,000 on leads, and that's how it's going to get your phone to ring, and that's going to make you work. It does not work like that, guys. So you want to be able to answer a few things. Why you? Why should somebody work with you? Whatever that is that you're doing or selling. What is your positioning? There are other people that do what you do. What makes you different in that? Have some fun with it. For me, I am the resource. I have been the resource and built a resume for being a Medicare resource my entire career. That includes being on the Medicare Advisory Group for National Association for Health Underwriters. It includes revising the Medicare and U book. It includes teaching continuing education. I do those things because they help with my positioning about why someone would choose me to work with. because I know my shit. And I don't know all the answers. And I will be the first person to say that. But I continue to build a resume so that way I have the ability of doing it. The latest one that people have asked me is, Manda, you should write a book. Another one is that I've had at least 3 people approach me about testifying in legal trials and being an expert witness. So these are all things that, yes, I could do them. I could add them to my resume. Or is it enough with what I have? Those are things that you want to consider. Build a resume, put your marketing out there. So I have one of my agents who all she does is VA work. She fell into it and found that she loves it. So all she does is work with VA, and that's what she's known for. I have another one who is all about mental health. So she works in the DSNP space, but it's all about working with those that have mental issues. I have 2 of my other agents who have a background in occupational therapy. So their positioning is being a point of contact within other colleagues that are therapists as well. You've got to figure out your why you. Next thing you need to do when building a marketing plan is figure out who your ideal customer is. How you talk to somebody who is a DSNP client versus somebody who is very well educated are 2 totally different things. You want to be aware of that and identify who it is. And this is a starter, guys. So you start with 1 client, build a marketing. I teach a bullseye approach with this. You start out small because you have a limited budget. Most of you don't have tens of thousands of dollars to spend on marketing. So you start out small and then fan out as you get bigger. With doing that, you've got to have a starting point. This is it. Figure out your 3 to 5 counties. Don't market to a bazillion states when you first get out. You don't know enough about Medicare as a whole. You have all of those different markets that you have to learn, and all the different competition, all the different products. In Cuyahoga County, we have 70 some different Med Advantage and Part D plans. To learn all of those and then go sell in 6 states on top of it, you're setting yourself up to fail. Not to mention, you can't adequately market that. So 3 to 5 counties is where your baseline is, and then you want to move forward from that. I teach a 3-prong marketing approach: grassroots, which is otherwise known as community, online and print. You want to load your funnel multiple ways, not just one, multiple ways, because what ends up happening is that, God forbid, there's regulation that comes out or something that happens. You want to have the ability to load your pipeline in multiple ways. So these are things, this is a fundamental, like I said, this is a 2-hour course, guys, that I'm teaching Thursday. But this whole discussion on marketing is way bigger than, who do you know for leads? If I see that question one more time, I'm going to shoot myself. There is more to marketing than just buying leads, guys. Way more than that. And you want to be able to go ahead and do that. With your development, you need to stay on top of marketing trends. So Deft Research, look at all of their stuff as they publish material. Kate says never bought a lead. Good, because Medicare is a referral-based business. It should survive on referral. But these are things that you want to be aware of, right? And you want to be able to move forward from there. Okay, so now we're going to get into how to set up an agency, how to go ahead and do some legacy planning, and all of the fun stuff that y'all wanted to go ahead and know about, right? So why would you do this against going ahead and running against your social? Because your accountant, initially short-sighted, will go ahead and say, well, you're a sole proprietor, so there's no reason to do anything. Just have everything run against your social security number and it'll be fine. Except it's not. The reason why it's not is because if something should happen to you and you should die, your loved ones basically have to do a mad dash to get licensed, appointed, and to move all of that business. And it's a problem that more often than not, they can't make happen, nor do they want to make happen. So they lose the money that you just spent years trying to build a business that just gone. That's a problem. Add on top of it that you have other protections that you don't have. And oh, by the way, the tax incentives on this. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to go ahead and visit the Small Business Association or SBA.gov. You really want to go ahead and make sure that that is what you're doing. Tracy says register your company at sunbiz.org if you're in Florida. When you go ahead and you do this and you set up your business, you're doing this for multiple reasons. And oh, by the way, the majority of the people that are on here are ladies. Guys, we are a minority. Women are in that minority, which means that you have the ability to apply for additional funding and additional things because we are a minority-based business. If you have not done the filing for that, I highly recommend that you do. It allows you to get business loans at an easier clip. There are so many things that you can make happen. So go to business, SBA.gov. Take a look at all of that. Next thing you want to do is set up, pick out a name. When you are picking out a name, be careful with the names that you choose. I will tell you, having Medicare in your name in the state of Florida, they will not allow you to go ahead and have that. It is a hard line no, especially if you are working with consumers. I don't, which is why there is a difference there. I don't go after consumers in Florida at all. I don't go after consumers, period. So those are ways that you, when you're considering a name and what you're looking at, you want to go ahead and take a look at. Sharon, can I please repeat what happens to your business if something happens to you? If you do not have an agency set up or a business set up and you're writing against your social, what will end up happening is that your loved ones, depending on the carrier, have about 90 days to get licensed, appointed, certified, and move all the business underneath their name in order to go ahead and continue to receive the income that you were getting. It is a problem. Majority of loved ones out there do not want to deal with any of that mess. Set up an agency and you have a hell of a lot more flexibility because agencies are bought by other agents all day long and twice on Sunday. So you want to go ahead and have that as an option. Okay, so hold on a minute, guys. You guys just blew up the chat. Patricia, can you elaborate a little bit more on using your name as a business name? So my name, Medicare Answers Now, Medicare is in the name of my business. I cannot, in the state of Florida, I cannot get an agency license in my name in Medicare Answers Now because it has Medicare in the name. And the thing is that they do that because Medicare should not be in the name for someone that is dealing directly with consumers. I don't, which is how I'm able to move around that. So just when you're picking out names, be careful with that. Mindy, slow your roll. You guys are ahead of me. I tried, but you have to change your license to the business. Guys, sit down. Jenny, check the domains and the costs. Yes. Cost of domains, if you go to Google or anything else like that, most of my domains ended up costing me $12 a year. So it really wasn't that big of a deal. Sasha, LCC versus S Corp, you're down at the next one. Talk to a professional. Do not go with whatever your friend says do. Talk with an accountant and an attorney to figure out which one in this grid makes sense as to an LCC versus an S Corp versus whatever. Initially, I will tell you, I started out as an LCC and I am now being told because of how big I've become, I need to now move to an S Corp. In order to do that with the S Corp, I now have to refile all of my licenses for the agencies, which is a ridiculously expensive amount of money because of how many licenses I hold, and I can't do it. Isn't going to make or break me, but at some point I'm going to need to bite the bullet and do that. So have this conversation with an accountant. Next piece is that you go to the IRS website and you can apply for an EIN or an employer tax ID so that way you can go ahead and get the agency to have that license. Okay, so, and Jenny says, yeah, I've been there, done that. Yes, Jenny, I remember we did it all last year. So what you're going to go ahead and do is once you have your EIN, the EIN is given to you or emailed very, very quickly so that way you can, you have it as PDF. I actually have it saved to my phone. Once you have the EIN, you can go get a business checking account. You will need that so that way you can move all of the business monies going into that account and everything else. Once you have that, you're going to need to file for your articles of incorporation with the state, and then you're going to need to go and file for your licenses with the agency. So you have all of your regular producer agent licenses because, well, you all, for the most part, most of you are running against your social. Once you go ahead and you do that, what needs to happen is that, and once you have your articles of incorporation, you will file to get your resident agency license. You go to NIPR, you're going to select where it says business entity, and you're going to do it with the tax ID or EIN that you were given. Once you do that, then they will issue an NPN for the agency. And then anytime that you get out of state licenses, you have to get your personal producer license. Then once you have that in hand, you get the agency's producer license. That is, it's a 1-2 process, and it can take a little bit of time to be able to do. If you have a downline that sells in multiple states, you have to get licensed in all the states that your agents sell in. In order to receive overrides on anything that one of your downline has, you have to be licensed and appointed, and your agency has to be licensed and appointed for those states also. So heads up. Once you get all of this done, you have to recontract with all of your carriers. It is a pain in the ass, guys. It takes months to get this done. If you do this only at the start of as Sasha said, or Ginny said, S Corp filing needs to be done in the first quarter. You want to get all of this done within your first quarter of the year so that way you make this all happen. Sam, can you contract as an agency before you have production? Oh yeah. And actually, I have some of my new kids that are starting from jump that wait to go ahead and set up that they set up the agency, them as a writing agent, and then move forward so that they only take the pill once with doing the contracting. Many of you will have to go ahead and get 2 separate ones done. Karen, is it only necessary to start an agency if you have the employees? No, you should start an agency if you want to advertise under an agency name versus Insurance by Karen, and you want to have it be Harding Agency instead. If you're advertising Harding Agency, then the agency needs to be have articles of incorporation and have an agent, have licenses, and be appointed with the carriers. Sasha, be careful if your upline is not licensed in the state you're selling. Watch out, you might get into trouble. Yes, normally your upline, when you get appointed, will go ahead and do the catch, and if they are missing the license, will get that license immediately as you get it as well. Is E&O required as an agency, or can you still use your personal? If it is only you as the employee, then yeah, you can keep your personal. You don't need the agency E&O. But for example, I need to now move to an agency E&O versus a personal, because now Jen's talking on behalf of the agency, Haley's talking on behalf of the agency, and a couple of other ones are. So now I will have to get full-fledged agency E&O. Can the downline receive commissions for other states if the upline is not licensed? No. If the upline is not licensed, it goes back to Sasha's question. They will get, typically they get licensed at the time that you get appointed, or they will go ahead and they'll put a catch in place. I know I regularly look at this once a quarter to make sure that I have them all. My business name, checking account, EIN in Florida is Medicare Monte Corporation. So is this already a qualified name as an qualified as an agency name? Tracy, honestly, with the word Medicare in there, I don't believe that they'll issue you a license with Medicare in your name. Yes, you can get a DBA. That is possible. Is it possible and legal to continue to get commissions that were already earned from your personal license and then begin writing the same carriers under your business license? Or do you have to release your commissions from your personal license first? Ideally, what I would recommend that you do is move, and that's the last question, is that you would move once your agency is contracted. Then there's paperwork that you do to pull all of the business that you wrote and put it underneath the agency. I highly recommend that you do that. It benefits you all the way around. If I get E&O for the agency, do you need separate? No, because you are listed as one of the covered under the agency E&O, so you're fine. So yeah, that's pretty much what you want to go ahead and do. So let's talk about staffing. First person for many of you, and especially because you're tired and coming off of AEP, where you want to go ahead and have it where you're looking at how do you grow? What do you do next? Get an admin. Get an admin. Start them out part-time if you're a control freak like me, and find somebody that's going to do all of the work that you don't want to do. They don't have to be licensed to do your mailers. They don't have to be licensed to send your cards, your holiday cards out, or to go ahead and make a call to say, hey, did you get your ID cards? Or I need to set up an appointment with you and Mel for Saturday at 1. That person can do all of that all day long. You can even teach them to do a drug lookup without the problem. The problem with part-time people is that they quit, and my flippant answer to that is well, that's because you hired the wrong person. When you hire people, guys, you shouldn't hire to hire, and it shouldn't be an easy snap decision. And the reason why I say that is this: you want somebody that's going to grow with you. You want to be able to show that they have an opportunity to grow into another position or grow along with you, right? Nobody wants to think about it. If I told you, hey, come work for me, but I don't show you a path as to how you're going to grow and expand, and all I show you is that you're pigeonholed into this job that I'm hiring for right now, you're not really going to be engaged, right? It's great for now, but you don't have a vision of where that person can go and how their career can track into something different than what it is. Sonia, I see your question. I'll answer it in a second. What ends up happening is that you want to be able to show when you hire somebody that, hey, we're going to start you at part-time because you're a stay-at-home mom. I'll give you an example. Heather is my example, right? Heather went ahead and she works part-time for me. When I hired her in July, she needed to stay at home for family reasons. And she says, I want to work for you, but I can't come into the office. That's going to knock me out, right? I said, no. I said, no, it's not. I'll let you work at home. Not a problem. She went, what? I said, you can work at home. I said, what you're doing for me, I don't need you in an office. Are you serious? Yeah. Well, but I only want 20 hours because, the kid's going back to school for a little bit and I have issues that I need to go ahead and take care of. I don't want any more than 20 hours. Okay. That lasted about 6 weeks before she messaged me and I made a comment and said, I have the hours if you want them. By all means, knock yourself out. Here's the projects that we're working on. Have fun. She's now sitting at anywhere between 30 to 38 hours a week for me. She works at home. I set her up. She's got a laptop. She's got a monitor. Cost me about $1,000 between the two. I give her projects. She text messages me daily to let me know what she's got going on and what she's working on. And then she moves forward. She is perfectly happy. She is excited about what she's doing. And I know she is not leaving me she's not leaving me. So those are things that currently she's 1099. I'm moving her to W-2 at the first of the year. But she came in as a 1099. These are things that actually most of my staff is 1099 this year. Next year, they all go to W-2. The reason why I do this is that if I can show them that they have flexibility, I can show them that they have growth, and I can show them where the agency projection is going, well, of course they want to move forward. So it just makes sense. Vicki, my answer for that is what's my reason to move them to W-2? To streamline my payroll, candidly, and they were all good with it. So it works for everybody, rather than having to worry about taxes at the end of the year for them. And for me, I can do my taxes quarterly and everything is fine. But they're all hourly. I have 2 that'll be salary and then the rest of them will be hourly. But those are the things that you want to go ahead and take a look at. With all of my staff, they came in unlicensed. Hear me again. They all came in unlicensed. Part of their career path was getting a license so that they could have their own personal development. Now, candidly, guys, I use Hondros as my college for going ahead and doing licensing. It cost me a couple $100 to go ahead and go get each one of my staff members licensed, plus whatever, the actual state fees and everything else. But it shows them that I am invested in them and in their success and in their development. But your admin, that's the first person that you want to hire. My first one was Jen. And again, she is the good cop to my bad cop. She does all of the little details where I'm big picture thinking. She fills in those holes. That's where it went, right? Okay, what is the name of the licensing company training that I work with again? For insurance license, Hondros is who I use. I just put it in the chat box. What are the pros and cons for hiring an assistant? 1099. 1099, just basically I'm paying them cash and I'll issue them a 1099 at the end of the year. They're responsible for going ahead and paying the taxes out of the money that I gave them. It's as easy as that. So that's basically where it's at with that. What and when did you decide I needed an admin? Volume of activity, volume of sales, both. So most of my agents have a pressure point at about 600 clients where they're like, I don't think I can take any more on to be able to grow effectively. And at 600, most of them can afford it at that point. So that way they're able to grow. That is my benchmark. I can tell you for a fact that there are other creators that disagree with this adamantly. If you can afford somebody more faster than that, great, more power to you, but this is my benchmark. Let's do the math on this. So when you hire somebody in, hire them in with whatever the local rate is in your area. In Cleveland, most of mine started at about 15 to 18 an hour. So you start them in at 15 to 18 an hour, unlicensed, 20 hours a week. Do the math on that, guys. So if you go ahead and you take 15, multiply it by 20, that's $300. So for less than one MedAdvantage app, I now free up 20 hours of my time. Do you think that you can sell one app to cover the overhead for that person in those 20 hours? And if your answer is no, you have a bigger problem. But think about that, measure math. So 20 hours equals one application, and it's going to free up that much of your time. That is then will allow you to grow at a bigger clip so that you can sell more. So then it starts that roll, right? That's how you want to use the benchmarks on that. It's an easy way to go ahead and figure out money. Okay. How do I handle walk-ins at your office if Heather is working at home? For me personally, I have a staff of 6. So for me, with walk-ins, which happens quite a bit, there's 4 other people in this office that can go ahead and field it. So that's pretty much where you do that. If you have an office, then you may want to bring them in a couple of days a week or figure out how you do it. Again, guys, these are sketches of ways and ideas to do this. You can mold with the skill sets that I'm giving you. And the information that I'm giving you, you should be able to take the core of what I'm giving and then be able to mold it into what your actual business plan looks like. Again, all of this stuff, my downline, we sit down and we work on all of this. I help you build your business plan. I help you build your marketing plan. We talk about all of this so that way I can help get you to where you need to be. For those of you that don't, talk to your upline. Talk to your mentors, figure out what they do, figure out what their stuff is, but that's what you want to go ahead and be able to do. My office is in an office building. It's a 1-story office building, and I have an end unit that actually spans 2 units. So I have a whole end cap of this entire large unit that is mine. So I love where I'm at. How do I feel about virtual agencies? I'm assuming that you're talking about virtual admins. I considered using them, but chose to stay local. It just made more sense for me as a business practice, but I know plenty that use them. Tracy says, mine is doing T65 mailers, thank you, and birthday cards. I've already gotten 3 sales off the T65 and paid for her entire year just to justify it. There's your answer, guys. Okay. If you do this smart, you can't grow unless you go ahead and your time is being spent correctly. And then you have a team that will help get you there. Did I need to pick up 4 staff members in the middle of AEP? Hell no. It was the last thing that I needed to have happen. But in order to go ahead and get to where I need to be next year, I had to start bringing them in now to train them, to get them to where I need them to be, because my busy season starts July 1. So my season is ahead of your curve, but that's how that works, right? So if you're getting staff, have them in place before June 1. You really want to go ahead and do that. Kathy just went ahead and said the same thing. I hired someone before I could afford it years ago. Best decision I ever made. I don't have an agency. I am a sole proprietor. So, it definitely will work, right? So those of you that are talking about taking on agents, this is also one of those things that everybody has a discussion about this time of year. And here's my 2 cents. If you're less than 3 years in the business in Medicare, personally, I don't want you selling. I don't want you having a downline. I don't believe that someone under 3 years can go ahead and effectively teach someone else how to sell, and manage the compliance issues and sell themselves all at the same time. I don't think that it's smart. Add on top of it that most new agents that you bring in, you need to spend a large amount of time working with them. It's going to take them, at least new kids, it's going to take 3 to 6 months to get them up and running. Can you afford to spend that amount of time with the downline to be able to help them? Many of you, probably not. So you want to ask these questions before you do this. The next one, follow through with what you promised somebody. Please make sure that you follow through with what you told somebody that you're going to do. You're only as good as your word. And if you can't make that happen, don't say it. The next one, can you have the hard conversation? It's all well and good teaching somebody how to sell and doing the rah-rah thing. But can you come back to somebody and say, dude, stop it. Cut that shit out. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to part ways. Can you have that conversation? Can you fire somebody? If you can't have those conversations, don't look at going ahead and doing that. But part of this is being able to tell somebody who is in your downline that is looking to you as a mentor and saying, your time management sucks. You chose to go ahead and spend the entire month of July at the beach and not doing anything. And now you're blowing up my phone at 11 o'clock at night, having a panic attack because you're not ready for AEP come October 1 because you felt the need not to do the homework. Can you call somebody out on the carpet for that? If you can't, you shouldn't have a downline. These are things that you have to be able to go ahead and look at with that, right? So hold on a minute. I've got a couple of questions. If you do not have an agency, is there a formula to figure out what your book is worth to sell it, or where do I find that? Going rate for books of business is 2.5 times current commission. And then how that is paid out is either at a lump sum. Most people are taking that commission and annuitizing it. So it's a partial payment over 4 to 5 years. That's how that's done, Sue. I may have missed someone asking this question as a client called me. I'm an independent agent, need a good start CRM to help me track this. Again, you're ahead of me. Give me a second. Sonia, also, you want your downline to be committed, not just interested. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. Oh God, yeah. I can tell you when I go ahead and I sit down and I talk with agents, and many of you have had this conversation. When we talk about you possibly going and working with me, one of the first questions I'm going to ask you is, who else did you call? If you can't tell me that you've called 3 to 5 other FMO uplines, I'm going to give you the names and numbers of them and then tell you to follow up with me later. Because unless I know that you've actually done your homework, and unless you're vested in going ahead and working with me, I don't want you. And the reason why I say that is my time's pretty valuable, as most uplines will tell you. We sink in a ridiculous amount of time in trying to get you trained and ready and selling and answering your questions and holding your hand and doing problem solving and everything else. If you're not going to be invested in your business, I sure as hell am not either. So I want to test that to make sure that you actually are diligent in what you want. So know that. Okay, so next slide. So this goes into where we're at and what things that you need. So now comes my fun lecture about professionalism, guys. You need to have logos. You need to have business cards. And I'm not talking about the ones that you print off on your printer at home. Have professional ones done. They'll cost you anywhere between $20 to $80, depending on what you have done and what they look like. Fiverr is great for doing this type of stuff. Fiverr is a consulting website that has all sorts of people that are selling their services. I have a guy on Fiverr, his name is Anuraj, that built my logo, and he did my business cards, which you can't really see them, but that's what my business card looks like. It's rounded. It is a very heavy stock. They are glossy, and I actually had those printed through Vistaprint, but you want to go ahead and have somebody work on your art. Don't try to do something at home. I can tell you the second that I see business cards, and I collect business cards as a sick hobby. I have tens of thousands of them, but I can tell you the homemade ones versus the other ones all day long. They look like shit. Don't spend the $20. If you want somebody to take you seriously, then take your business seriously. If you treat it as a hobby, everyone else will. And I cannot stress that enough. And if it is a hobby, come out and say that it's a hobby or that it's part-time, so that someone that you're working with knows that that's what you're doing, right? CRM tools. For those of you that don't know what a CRM tool, that's how you manage your client base. And what I mean by that is that client base is not just the apps that you put up. That client base should be for anybody who has expressed an interest in what you do for a living. Whether it's Advantage plans, whether it's med subs, whether it's dental vision, whether it's cancer plans, whatever it is, you should house a system or a spreadsheet that goes ahead and that you can use, so that, let's say you can't write them right now, but you can write them next AEP, or at least put them on your radar for next AEP, so that you may get in front of them next year or the year after that or the year after that. You want to go ahead and have that list of anyone, which is called a prospect. You want a list of prospects that is ongoing. And a CRM allows you to house that. Some of them have commission systems, some can send emails, some of them can do reports. I use Agency Black. My downline, for the most part, uses Agency Black. I know Eric Fierro has one of those. All of those different, there's lots of different CRMs out there. Find one that works for you. I know Agency Black has videos and trainings all the time. Agency Black runs about $65 a month. It makes sense. Going way back to the question about websites, Ken French at Snoozy is who I use for my website build. Y'all just saw what my website looks like. It runs $65 a month. He also can do social media. I know many of you have gone ahead and used Ken as well. He is fabulous. Tell him that you got his information from me, and by all means, you know, he may hook you up. I have to work with him on discount codes yet, but these are things that you want to go ahead and look at. I'm almost at time, so I want to ask these questions real quick. Do I have automations and campaigns set up on Agency Black? I'm still working on my workflows now. That's part of what Heather's project is. Contact for Fiverr. So my Fiverr guy, his name is Anuraj. I just put that in the chat box so that way you have that. Next one. If you're looking for something more affordable to use and less like less annoying CRM, you can get 2 months for free with the link. So she put that in the chat box. How do you label for Christmas cards? Do you send each one? Or if there's a husband and wife, can a CRM make the label list? Yes. I do exports. I do report exports on my CRM all the time, at least 2 or 3 a day. Then that Excel spreadsheet can be imported into my Dymo label maker, and then I spit out my labels and I'm good to do. Super easy, and I do that all the time, so not a problem. I'd stay away from they give you a logo and then give it to 5 other people. Sarita, mine came from Fiverr, and I can tell you right now, mine is trademarked. No one has my logo. So that depends on who it is that you're using. That's why I recommended Anna. But yeah, that's an option. Let's see what else we've got. Ken's last name, it is on my screen. It is Ken French. Chandra used 99 Designs. So yeah, that's that. Someone wanted me to go ahead and talk about contracting fees. United and Anthem have contracting fees for each state that you get appointed with. And then depending on what you sell, those contracting fees may or may not be waived depending on each state that you go ahead and you sell at and the volume. So you want to go ahead and be aware of that when you are contracting and getting approved for multiple states. There is a cost that's involved, not just the cost for the licenses, but also for the carriers, depending on whom they are. I've got, I believe, 1 or 2 more slides and we are at time, guys. So look at your goals. Don't compare yourself. All of you have different, you're at different levels in your careers or in your paths on being independent agents. It's very hard to go ahead and keep those blinders on and stay your focus. God knows I am the first person that can say I struggle with this. Some months are way harder than others when I'm looking at that. But you really want to go ahead and stay the focus. You want to write your stuff down, because if you don't write it down, you don't have anything to go back and look at and go, yeah, I achieved that, or no, I don't. Part of why I use Microsoft Outlook is that I can go back in at any given year and go, oh, I did this or I didn't, and I like this or I didn't. Do your check-in so that way quarterly, are you hitting your marks? Are you where you need to be? Are you off pace? Right now, I'm off pace with some of the initiatives that I want, but I'm going to hit them. So, and I'm going to correct so that I do hit my end result. But we need to go ahead and look at it. I use an outline to go ahead and do this. It does not have to be anything elaborate, but you really want to go ahead and make that happen. Last but not least, if you want, I'm here to help. If you want to have a conversation, we can have a conversation. If you're looking to go ahead and find a partner, I'm here. We can have a discussion. Carriers offer co-op, work with direct with your local reps. And then you also want to go ahead and work with your uplines in regard to co-op when you're looking at marketing plans. Again, we'll talk about this on Thursday. Other things that you want to go ahead and note is that the carriers are just starting and the uplines are just starting now to post their classes and their stuff for the upcoming year. Again, there's a ridiculous amount of conferences this year. I hope some of you can attend Staying Alive on February 3rd. Get your registration there. Definitely all of my classes are for open door. You can find the information. Linda, what questions are best in interviewing an FMO? If you go to my website and then go under insurance agents and then click on the FAQ, you will see that I have a list of them. If you go into the Ms. Medicare group or any of the other groups under guides, there is a list of the questions there. And then if you Google my name on any of the Facebook stuff, you will find a post regarding upline interview. They're there. Other questions that I have in the inbox. Can you let me know how this works? If you can respond via email if you want. How does having an agency benefit a person's family? Because the agency holds the business. So what happens is that, just like I said, most husbands or wives don't want any part of being in the business. They don't want to get licensed. They don't want to get certified. They don't want to touch it. So, but you have to have a licensed and appointed person in order to receive commissions. If you have the business under an agency, then it doesn't have to be the husband and wife that's going ahead and that is the licensed and appointed producer. You may have a couple of other producers in your agency. Or you can look at selling your agency to an outside business to be able to go ahead and do that. You have far more options with an agency that, God forbid something happens, your partner has or your family then has the ability to look at and go down that avenue versus not having it under an agency. So you really want to be careful of that. It's referred to as legacy planning. So you can also ask your FML. How's the weather up there in Cleveland? Thinking of driving. How much snow do we get? Up here in Cleveland, where the meeting is outside of the snow belt. So if we have any snow, it would be a couple of inches, but it shouldn't be too bad when it comes to that. Would love to have you come up. The link registration isn't up. Go to the website and click on events. Yes, please. So there's my contact information. I know a couple of you have gone ahead and asked you about that. We are having a super warm winter, guys, so I wouldn't be worried about the snow this year, thank God. So we should be okay. Do you have recommendations for hiring an assistant, interview questions, personality tests? Have a conversation with them, sit down and talk. That's what I did. And then you know if it's a fit or not. As to personality and everything else. Ginny says also saves you on Social Security and Medicare taxes when the agency pays a salary. Mindy says it can be 60 or 20 below, depends on the weather. Yeah, it can. Other than that, guys, we are right at time. Score. So I hope you guys found this informative. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope, please give me your feedback, your good, your bad, the ugly, whatever. Hope to see you at these events. Hope to see you at my next classes. Again, they are open to anybody, so please tell your agent friends or whatever. I would love to see all of you. And otherwise, I hope you have a great holiday. Again, if you're up in Northeast Ohio, I have a holiday party on Friday from 3 to 7. Thursday is my marketing class. It's called the Life After AEP course. So enjoy it, guys. I hope you have a great holiday, and I will talk with all of you soon. Thank you so much.